As promised, I am Couch Coop. We're going to be looking at the Saboteur. This is coming off the back of Hell Let Loose, which was my most recent video, and we've got one more in the old Second World War installment. That will be Sniper Elite 5, I hope. Now, this is from Pandemic Studios. They are famous for Destroy All Humans, and they did an excellent split-screen Destroy All Humans 2, which was remade. I will slap that link in. That's a very good video game, and you see some DNA of that studio in this.
Oh, the other girls, I like them, but I do not trust them.
Been a bit of a running theme looking at games that are a little bit crass, a little bit dated, maybe have a whole different set of writers at the helm, and this is certainly a good example. 2009 was politically a very long time ago, and this game comes with a nudity toggle. We don't get asked that sort of thing anymore. The main character is a bit sweary, Irish, womanizer, whiskey drinking. There's not a lot to dislike about him. Set in the Nazi-occupied Paris, you cannot get your weapon out in this main hub. Look at the red dots on the minimap. You do want to just go full Inglorious, but you can't at this stage. I've been looking around at some other reviews of this game because it made it onto Steam on the 7th of March this year, and I think the Steam version comes with a slightly higher HD toggle. I was not asked on any resolution within the options of this game. This is off the Game Pass EA tab, so that might be logged. I'm convinced I'm looking at 720. Probably not, but it feels a little bit grainy. She is still a looker, and when this game was released, it was top shelf AAA production. It was a very big game, both on its idea, concept, and actual map size. It was very much free roaming, and the studio had a good reputation for just chaotic worlds. They built a fantastic one in Destroy All Humans 1, and this title is of no exception.
These German girls are crazy for racers. We'll have a dozen blonde beauties feeding us grapes, huh? Assuming you don't fuck it up, of course. Bollocks.
The swearing is everywhere, and his mannerisms, even though we're looking at some very old tech on a lot of the characters and NPCs, it makes you smile. This game, it is so fist in mouth in areas, it just makes the eyes water, but that's part of the enjoyment of going back to 2009.
So much for awkward small talk.
Drive the fucking car! Hold on to your arses.
Strangely, it feels a little bit like Mafia 1 and 2 with its setup, like having your garage that you go to and very large amount of car differential, even early on, and getting the manufacturer and name come up when you take over them. Not a lot of pedestrian resistance when pulling people out of the car, but there is a lot of Nazis about. Let's also get an idea about what was going on in 2009 within the industry. Grand Theft Auto 4 had come out in 2008 on those previous systems, the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. Also, Assassin's Creed 2 came out in 2009, and that could be said as one of the strongest Assassin's Creeds of them all. So this game had a hell of an uphill struggle to make an impact on an open world level. This game needed to stand out. It had to come up with some new ideas for an open world military shooter, and it certainly did. And in hindsight, it's always stuck with me that I need to revisit it to refresh what made this such a pleasant memory. Was it just rose tinted glasses, or is this genuinely a good open world video game? It firstly sports the gimmick of turning the map into a black and white film noir. Think that girl in the red dress in Schindler's List. The Nazi insignia and uniform are the only things that really stand out, and the surfaces that you can climb on. So it's an interesting mechanic. It does a surprisingly good job of changing the atmosphere with that palette slide. It's also striving in places to be as historically accurate as possible with a lot of its hardware and the uniforms and guns that the French and French resistance had access to at the time of this war. And the other standout sort of feature of it is that its AI are pretty on the ball. The detection is ridiculous. We'll get to it in a second, but a bit like the Destroy All Humans series, there's a big emphasis on disguise, going undercover, detection circles, and more importantly, height. This game is all about reaching the top of buildings, the Crow style, and sort of launching yourself across the streets to avoid detection using drain pipes, that sort of stuff.
of a bitch! Ow! Fuck! You alright? Yeah, get over here.
So it's doing a surprising amount of things simultaneously. It's got some sneak mechanics, it's got a full-blown working traffic and open world and car system. It's also got an embedded campaign, single player with rich characters and a twisty storyline.
There's no way I'm letting you dead, my sister.
Also comes with some Assassin's Creed-like really good climbing mechanics, indicating which rung you can get to next. It's not simple button bashing stuff. You do have to use your brain to look for areas that you can get up or escape through.
Shite!
Let's talk about its disguise mechanic, because for me that offers quite a lot of incentive to stay undetected or be in sneak. What I'm talking about is when you approach a soldier from the back and take them down with a stealth attack, that is the only way you can access their uniform. Notice on that mini-map there is no vision cone, you don't know which way they're facing. Observing your victim for a little while for a decent window does pay off, because detection of that particular area could mean mission fail, or you've got to run off and hide because 90 Nazis are shooting at you. When escaping in a vehicle, you can soak up a ridiculous amount of damage. I gave this game quite literally the runaround to see how long it took for my car to combust or blow up from taking bullets, and I gave up. It didn't. So you have to take that on board, though I think there's a lot more harsher punishment with being in a vehicle and some of these newer open world games. Cyberpunk's a great example. Literally 7 bullets and you've got flames coming out of the bonnet. Of a lot of stuff to compete with. That Mercenaries game was out and about on the 360, and I think Red Faction Guerrilla, and this is sporting sort of blow up the Nazi installations, big explosions, warehouse destruction, kind of ruining the Nazis' day with taking down all of their important areas of map, and you're rewarded for that with the contraband payments.
What the fuck did I piss off now?
So running parallel with this really interesting mission structure, i.e. different NPCs to go to at your free will, you have like a choice of 2 or 3 at the start of the game. You've also got this just cause, taking down the bigger picture, the sort of larger corporate enemy that's polluting that map and the lives of all of the non-player characters, and that's represented by this black and white sort of receding once you get or take over a particular area. It's also got quite an awesome unlock system wrapped around sort of using things frequently or sniping people, doing close quarters. You open up different behaviours and abilities within that section. A little bit of background role playing here, more than I seem to remember. Talking of Cyberpunk, this game does actually have a call-in vehicle mechanic that you unlock where you can just have your car rock up whenever. It's pretty current gen.
Your car.
Let's have the discussion about the combat, because it's the most natural feeling of open world gunplay combat that I've played in a while. That L2 button takes you to a Remnant style over the shoulder stance, and coupled with these peg 60 frames per second, which I'm pretty guaranteed I've got, no green number today, but it was there on playthrough. You're also probably noticing copious amounts of claret and spray going everywhere. That's the second thing you notice about this game, along with that writing, is its gore and adult subject matter. It does make you realise that a large bunch of AAA games that have come out today are made for kids.
Well, that was easy.
Touching on that rose-tinted point, this game does start all its missions with the best intentions, but just like a lot of good stealth shooters, it's all about can it cope when things go pear-shaped. And that's one of the more enjoyable aspects, is you can soak up so much damage and you feel so comfortable with all these fire mechanics. There is no reload button, which I didn't get my head around, but it's still just second nature. And to have it in such a large and sandbox style world, this is not a bad game in 2024 at all. We're not allowed this anymore, are we? Grown-ass men gamers, not allowed to have this sort of titillation in modern video games. I mean, the last time I saw this sort of lunacy was way back before 2010, and that's why I'm doing a lot of this digging, is because there was a cut-off. We can nearly put our fingers on where video games started sloping towards the masses, and stuff like this was just not made again. Could this be made again? Could this be remastered or remade?
Your payment. Merci. Now get out of here.
There's your reward, Judas. Don't spend it all in one place.
I think it could. If you think about Destroy All Humans 2, Pandemic, the studio, went under before that was remastered and re-released. So I think the IP or the rights might sit with the publisher as opposed to the studio. That would be great news, because I know a lot of people out there really miss this game, me included. They've sort of condensed downtown Paris and included the Eiffel Tower and some other famous Parisian landmarks, but they've also surrounded the city with an open area, meadows and churches. They found a V2 goddamn bomb lined up. That thing just had to be disposed of.
That's for Jews!
But back to the comparisons thing, all of these difficult elements to an open world game, with the gunplay, with the exploration, with the destruction, with all of the options, with vehicle, getting into the enemy's ordnance, it's something that the game has carried off. It doesn't do all of them expertly, but it spins just about every single one of those plates. If you have a PC or laptop and access to Game Pass, I thoroughly recommend you take a look at this. 7 GB, the game's about the size of an email, and this is an important piece of open world gaming history. What with the studio being shut down and this subject matter not really given the love it's seen here since. Just toggling the in-car and out-of-car view there, didn't even know that was a thing until about 4 hours in. And I did want to compliment the radio station, giving us excellent European 30s and 40s French and contemporary music. It's stunning, and I couldn't play loads of it because it would have been demoned.
Bring it on. Chew you up, I will.
It turns out it wasn't rose-tinted glasses, and this is still a great game to revisit, especially today with it being available for such a small cost and being able to run it at top specs. Remember, we had this over on the 360. 30 frames was barely a thing, and that 100% was running at 720p. Every time I get on those Parisian rooftops, have a look down, see the differences in colour and motif and glows that they've put into the game. It's so distinctive. Any screenshot you can tell straight up is the Saboteur. And also discovering all these different crazy Nazi disguises, and they go off the hook with their stormtroopers, rocket launchers, armoured cars, panzer tanks. They throw the goddamn kitchen sink at you. If you are new, please take the time to have a look at my Hell Let Loose video. It's my most recent upload, and stick around for the Sniper Elite 5. Man, that game is unbelievably crisp. I cannot believe it's been under my radar for near on 2 years. I will see you down there.
Sorry, Jules.